Something ancient lies beneath the soil, not a creature, not a ghost, but a memory so old it no longer has a name. You sense it in the way the land has been marked, in monuments that rise where people once gathered, in offerings left in places that were never ordinary. It lingers in silence, waiting to be understood, and it leaves us with a single question. How might the people of Neolithic Britain have made sense of a world where the boundary between the living and the unseen was never secure? If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories of the ancient world, please like the video and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and allows me to keep exploring the mysteries that lie beneath our feet. Let us step into a world shaped by belief. The land was never neutral. It pressed in on Neolithic communities with forests, rivers, and wetlands that could both sustain and threaten life. To survive meant learning to read the land, but survival was not the only concern. Meaning was everywhere. Archaeology shows repeated visits to certain places over centuries. At Avebury, vast earthworks and stone circles rose beside springs and hills, while Silbury Hill, the largest prehistoric mound in Europe, was raised near the River Kennet. Its purpose remains unknown, but its scale suggests a sacred role. Rivers were treated as boundaries. Excavations revealed deliberate deposition of polished axes, pottery and human remains in water, and wetlands, dangerous and liminal, received similar offerings. These were not discards, but gifts placed with intention. Forests too were shaped with care. Clearings opened slowly, groves left untouched, and cutting trees or raising earthworks may have been ceremonial acts marking places they perceived as already powerful. By returning again and again, Neolithic people created landscapes of memory. They did not build sacred places apart from nature. They marked what they perceived as already powerful, weaving belief into the land itself. What do you think made rivers and wetlands so powerful in the minds of Neolithic communities? Death was constant. Farming communities faced hunger, disease, and conflict, and the question was not only how to survive, but how to remain connected to those who had gone before. Long barrows, built primarily between 4000 and 3000 BC, offered an answer. These trapezoidal mounds, sometimes stretching over 100 meters, contained chambers where the dead were placed together. Excavations reveal remains of dozens of individuals, bones rearranged, skulls emphasized and sometimes removed entirely. This was not disorder but intention, suggesting ancestors were treated as active presences rather than silent memories. Forecourts at sites like West Kennet were used for ceremonies, fires were lit, animals offered, and gatherings held before the chambers were entered. The monuments themselves were positioned on ridges and slopes, visible across the land, anchoring communities to place and declaring belonging and continuity. Entering a tomb meant stepping into a charged space where the boundary between living and dead was thin. To remember the ancestors was to stabilize time, holding the past close while the world changed. Through these rituals, people created continuity that stretched far beyond a single lifetime. How does the idea of ancestors as active presences change the way we see these monuments today? Life moved with the rhythm of the year. Crops depended on light, rain, and season, and to survive, communities had to track time. Monuments reflect this. Stonehenge aligns with the solstices, its axis marking sunrise at midsummer and sunset at midwinter, while in Orkney, the Maeshowe Passage tomb glows with the setting sun at winter solstice. These alignments were acts of precision, binding ritual to celestial cycles. Ceremonial sites were gathering places. At Durrington Walls near Stonehenge, evidence shows pigs and cattle were slaughtered in great numbers, their age and butchery marks suggesting seasonal feasts. People travelled long distances, gathering to share food, stories, and belief. We cannot hear the music or chanting. We cannot see the procession moving through the dark, but the pattern is clear, repeated use of the same sites timed to the same turning points. Time itself became sacred, measured not by numbers, but by light and return, and through ritual communities, placed themselves within the larger rhythm of the world, stepping into cycles that bound them to the land to each other and to forces they could not control. What do you think drew people back to the same places year after year, generation after generation? Stone was more than material. It was a bridge between the human and the eternal. The effort required to quarry, shape, and raise large stones was immense, yet people did it, carrying stones from distant regions chosen not for convenience, but for meaning. Standing stones rise like figures, their shapes and placements deliberate. Some align with the sun, others frame views of the land, circles creating closed spaces separating ritual from everyday life. These were places where people gathered, remembered, and performed acts that left no words behind. Over 1,000 stone circles were built across Britain and Ireland, with around 1,000 sites still detectable today, though many are fragmentary. At Avebury, nearly 100 massive stones enclosed 2 inner circles, while in Orkney, the Ring of Brodgar originally held around 60 stones. Their scale and precision suggest astronomical and ceremonial significance. Smaller stone objects carried meaning too. Polished axes, often unused, were placed in graves or offered to rivers, their smooth surfaces suggesting reverence. Stone endured where wood decayed. It held memory. It held presence. By shaping stone, Neolithic people transformed something eternal into monuments that still stand, bridging human intention with cosmic order. Do you think the endurance of stone was part of its power? Or was it the act of shaping it that mattered most? Life was full of thresholds, birth and death, season to season, place to place, and each crossing carried danger. Causewayed enclosures, built around 3,700 to 3,500 BC, offered symbolic boundaries. Over 80 are known, marked by interrupted ditches and banks. Excavations reveal deposits of pottery, animal bones, and human remains deliberately placed in the ditches. These were not defensive structures, they were symbolic boundaries. Crossing into them may have marked entry into ritual space. At sites like Windmill Hill, ditches were repeatedly redug, each time filled with new offerings. Objects were broken before being placed. This was not waste, but transformation. Caves, tomb entrances, and narrow passages emphasized movement into darkness. Crawling into chambers mirrored journeys into the spirit world. Emerging again symbolized return. Belief was expressed through action, breaking objects, crossing thresholds, repeating rituals, and these acts guided people through dangerous transitions where ordinary rules no longer applied. The worldview was one where change was powerful and dangerous, requiring ritual control, and customs helped people cross thresholds safely, whether between seasons, states of being, or worlds. What do you think people felt when they crossed into these liminal spaces, leaving ordinary life behind? The Neolithic did not end with silence. New materials appeared, metal arrived, farming changed, and communities shifted, yet old beliefs survived. Bronze objects entered ritual life alongside stone. Old monuments were reused, respected, and sometimes altered, and excavations show pre-existing Neolithic sites remained focal points with Bronze Age barrows clustered around them. Later communities treated Neolithic sites as ancient and powerful. Stonehenge, already centuries old, continued to draw people, while in Scotland the Ring of Brodgar remained central to ritual landscapes. The past itself became sacred. Monuments were already ancient by the time metal arrived, their age giving them authority and their presence shaping identity. Neolithic belief did not vanish, it became the foundation for what followed, shaping how later communities understood ancestry, landscape, and time. Through continuity and change, the sacred past endured, remembered, reused, and reimagined, binding generations together across centuries. Do you think the age of these monuments gave them more power? Or was it the memory of the people who built them that mattered most? We began with a question, and we end with another. Neolithic Britain left no scriptures, no prayers, no written myths. Yet belief is still written into the land itself, in earthworks, in stones, in the careful placement of bones. It is a story told through silence and action, a story of how people understood life, death, and time. So I ask you this, Which part of this ancient world speaks to you most? The rivers that received offerings, the tombs that held generations, or the stones that still mark the turning of the sun? If you enjoy uncovering the mysteries of the past, please like this video and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and allows me to keep bringing these hidden stories back to life. The land still carries their memory, and when we walk across it today, we walk through a world shaped by belief.